Okay, hello guys. Today I'm going to be doing another Soundation tutorial. This one is going to be on stacking layers in Soundation. Basically how I organize all my channels when I'm doing any sort of song. So, in this video, you could probably tell from looking at it, I'm actually recording this on 10 FPS, 10 frames per second, because otherwise it would probably crash my computer and the audio would sound even more shit than it already is when I'm recording these tutorials. But all the stupid software I'm using aside, let's get on with the video. So this idea was recommended by jtpck. His Soundation username is jtpck, period. He makes some pretty cool songs. I've worked with him before. He's basically a cool guy. I'm going to link him in the description of the video. Make sure to go check him out. And he was the one that came up with this idea for this tutorial. So let's get on with the video. Let's get on with the tutorial. So as you can probably see on my screen, this is a work in progress track I'm working on. There's a bunch of different colors and different layers to what I'm working on. So let's start with the most basic one of all. Well, first let's listen to how the entire track sounds as a whole. So as you can tell, the way I like to do my tracks is there's a bunch of stuff going on. Some producers, many professional producers have like maybe 2 or 3 times as many channels as I have right now. So if you're a beginner, this might seem like a lot, but you will understand exactly what's going on once you get in depth with it. So let's start off with these first 2 top channels, the black channels. So what are these? So the black channels, I put them at the very top. These are all percussion. I also need this one. So these are all my percussion channels. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. So these are all my percussion channels. These are imported audio files. So if you don't have a paid account, you can't really use imported audio files, which I highly recommend getting a paid account, like an intro. That's all I use. I don't even know how much it costs, but it's definitely not very pricey. If you don't have your own income, you can probably ask your parents to do it. That's what I did at first, but anyway, so even if you don't have a paid account and you can't import audio files like I did here for these amazing drums, what you can do is you can literally just try to stack up some pre-made Soundation SBC samples or something. Like, for instance, right here, a great example. I didn't even import a cymbal crash. This cymbal crash is from the Funk Latin pack in SPC, which is free. You don't need any paid account or to pay for anything to get this Funk Latin crash. There's a bunch of pretty decent SBC presets that you can use for that. So don't feel like you're obliged to get a paid account. Again, as I said, I recommend it, but it's not 100% necessary to still make some pretty decent music. So yeah, the top channel right here, that's all percussion, and I put it in black. Colored it all black, all these sound files and MIDI clips, so it's easy to organize. So my next 4 channels right here, they're in green, and these are like kind of like percussion, but they're effects. So like in the beginning right here, I have a nice up-swooshing effect right here. So these are like a very, very quiet background noises that kind of fill in the track, make it feel smoother, and they're work as nice transition effects. Here on the drop sort of part, where I have all those dubstep basses and whatnot, I have a bunch of little sort of sounds here. So these go really well with the track. I didn't originally have them. I added them in later so that it sounded more filled in, so it sounded like there's more stuff going on, more intense. So that's highly recommended, just having channels like that in here. If you're curious of what this sound right here is, This is actually a really cool effect. I realized if you take a glass shattering sound and reverse it, that's a pretty cool effect. I think they even use that like stuff in professional music. So I don't know. That's just like a little sort of trick I found with glass shattering effects. They work very nicely for transitioning into new parts. In fact, I'm going to show you what that sounds like in the context of a track. Like if I had those muted, it would sound boring. Like, it still works, but I don't know. I like having these in here. I'm definitely not going to remove them. But you do you, of course. You structure your songs or add in effects however you want. So this effects channel, I love having it. I love it for transitions. Not 100% necessary, but I would definitely recommend it. So let's move on to the fun channel, the blue channel. So everything I have here in blue is melodic. All of these are melody stuff. So like in the beginning, if you heard that little ARP sort of noise, I made that literally with a simple synth and like a square wave. So yeah, those are just some melodic effects. Here, if you listen to this part, I love using the monosynth and modulating the pulse width. I might even do a tutorial on that separately because it's just such a cool sound, but this is what it sounds like on its own. So that's just all the melody components. And this one kind of goes hand in hand with this red channel, which I'm going to talk about later. This is like the very intense channel. But after this, I have the orange channel. Now, this channel is exclusive for dubstep sort of stuff. I only use the orange channel. I shove it in here between the melody and the bass because it's kind of both, but also neither. Basically, what this stuff is, this is my dubsteppy basses. If you take a closer look here, I have an FM synth. I have some imported audio files made in Logic. I have this isn't even technically a dubstep bass, but it goes along with the sort of vibe here. So if you take a listen on its own, that's basically what this is. This is like the dubsteppy sort of bassy sounds. You can hear some more glass shattering effects. So yeah, this is sort of exclusive for dubstep. If you're not producing dubstep, which I know a lot of people don't. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just the genre I like going for. That in electro house. But if you're doing some other genre, like I don't know, like lo-fi, dubstep's polar opposite, you can utilize this area, this orange color, for something else. I don't have any specific examples, but I use it when I'm doing dubstep. I use it for growl basses. So let's move on to the fun channel, the really fun channel. Before I said the melody channel is fun. This is where it's at. So what I have here, I have a bunch of chord channels. These are the chords. These are the real basses that you're gonna hear go along well with the melody. So I did a tutorial actually on this preset right here, my super saw growl bass. So I actually highly recommend you go check out that video. It's kind of low quality, maybe worse even than this one. I don't know. I haven't watched it back obviously because I'm recording it, but it's a pretty useful video. I've got some good feedback on it. I suggest you go check that out. This is what it sounds like. It's just a very useful bass for when you're doing this sort of hard style kind of genre like dubstep or electro house. And these right here, I also went over these a little bit in my growl bass tutorial. I have a super saw here and a VA synth. Oh, and it looks like my recording time is running out, so I'm going to continue this in a new clip. Hold on. Okay, I am back. I loaded up my program again. Okay, so let's continue where I left off. I think I was talking about... What was I talking about? I think I was talking about these channels, these 4 channels right here. So, we have our bass right here with the sub bass. Let's go well together. Like I said, there's a tutorial on this separately. Probably gonna link it in the description. So what do I use these for? So what's really important that I think a lot of dubstep and complex drum producers on Soundation and just beginners in general, they don't realize that when you're doing dubstep, just having these basses going on and on and on is kind of boring. Like, sure, it's cool, it's intense, it's fun, but there's no like real resolution or melodic component to it, and it gets kind of boring. Let's be real here. So what I love doing is I love plugging in these little melodic, not melodic, I guess, of chords, but these little resolutions here. Like we have our basses going on. I'm gonna put this on. My God, the mouse. Don't you see like how the chords, they add so much to the song? Like without them, I don't know, let's delete this. And then even if I just didn't have these channels right here, I would like go back to this. Even if I filled up this part with other dubstep basses, it would just sound so much more plain and boring than if I had these chords here. So I highly recommend when you're doing dubstep to put in some chord resolutions there. Anyway, so that's all I have for the chords. Let's zoom out a bit, take all of these off solo, and go through all of them real quick again. I'm also going to go over the master channel a little bit in mastering, a little bit in this video. Again, I'm probably going to do a mastering thing in a different video. Let's go through all these again. So first we have our black for percussion, our green for effects and transitions, our blue for our melody, our orange optional for whatever genre you're using. In this case, I used it for dubstep basses, and our chords and chord basses here, like the sub bass and just grind basses and chords. So I said basses, I meant basses. Shut up. Okay, so let's move on to the mastering channel. What did I do with the mastering channel here? So I have a filter, which I'm not sure that I actually use this for anything. It's useful for like if you're doing transitions, like to like change it up a little bit, like I don't know, like this for example. You could do something like that and then have the filter cut off, go back up really quickly. You could probably do something like that. It's kind of dumb to do it in a mastering channel because it affects every single channel, but I don't know. I've done it before. You can do it too if you make it work. So I just have that there just in case. My filter channel on low pass, currently it's all the way up so it doesn't do anything, but I can modulate that in the automation section. So now, moving on to the tougher bit, the equalizer, EQing your sound. So on the computer I'm listening this to, if I feel like you're not really hearing much of the basses, it sounds plain, you can put the low. Now I'm not actually going to change any of this because it's set exactly how I want. Like you can put the bass a little bit higher so you can hear more bass. You can put the high end a bit higher so you can hear all the smaller like high pitched sounds. You can put the mid higher if you're lacking mids and if it's really bassy and high end but there's no mids. So you really need to play around with this one when you're working. And again, I mentioned this before. If you have a parametric EQ, use a parametric EQ because the free equalizer right here, it only lets you look at these big three very general sections of the EQing sort of spectrum, and you don't get to EQ out each individual little frequency. This is very general. It's not the best for mastering, but it's what I've got, so this is what I'm using. Just shows you don't need to pay for everything to have the best quality sound. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found this useful. And go to my Soundation track. I'm going to link it in the description where you can give me ideas for new tutorials. I'm really looking forward to reading your comments on this video as feedback and more ideas for tutorials. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned and subscribe.